I'm Laura from Crucial, the CEO of an advanced technology disruptor recruitment service. And today I wanted to highlight, we've been doing a lot of work around female engineering and around Black Lives Matter. And I'm lucky enough today to be speaking to a female engineer and also a personal friend, Fola Damola. Fola studied a master's in chemical engineering. She spent the last 15 years specialising in wastewater treatment and is currently working at Southern Water. Fola, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm fine. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. So I'm just really keen to learn a bit more about you and about your career, about how you found it being a woman in engineering and a Black woman in engineering as well. So I guess if we sort of start at the beginning, I'd love to hear if you could talk me through your decision to get into engineering. How did that happen?
Well, I grew up in Nigeria and sort of middle class family, and almost every typical Nigerian middle class family has this idea of what their children should do, and it's either you're a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or an accountant. And I was I am one of four children, and we're all one of these four things. So my sister's a lawyer, my brother's a doctor, I'm an engineer, and my younger sister is an accountant.
Wow.
And I know, and my parents were both doctors. So for them, it was like, you're going to be a professional, whatever you did. They in their head, in an ideal world, they would have had four doctor children, but it didn't quite work out. And also, but personally, me, I think I showed more of an inclination towards engineering, because right from a very young age, I was very mathematical, really enjoyed maths, always found maths to be not necessarily easy, but a challenge that I enjoyed taking part in. I always remember I was in year 3 at school, and I think my maths exam, I got like 100%, and everyone was really shocked. But it just, it's easy for me. I think as a result, I was drawn to the sciences. But I think, for me, maths and engineering is the kind of thing where, as opposed to the arts or English or history, the way I look at it is that there's always one solution. There's multiple ways to get there, but there's almost always one solution. You're trying to get one thing. Whereas the other way, the sciences, there's a question and there's multiple answers. And I work better the other way. So
Okay.
I work better heading towards one solution. And so for me, that was that, having the professional parents, having the push towards being a professional, but then having the science and the mathematical background kind of helped me on my way to decide to become an engineer. It was almost a natural thing to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really interesting. You're a natural problem solver and you like to get to a solution. So did you have any role models growing up? In particular, did you have any Black female role models?
You know what? I have to say, my parents would be my role model now, not necessarily as engineers, obviously, but just as role models, and my family. So as I said, I'm from sort of middle class family. So I was surrounded by professionals. I was surrounded by university graduates. It was a natural process for me and my family members, my siblings and I, to end up at university. So we didn't doubt that. We didn't question it, and it's what we did. And it was around us. So I would say my family and my parents in particular were my role models.
Fantastic. And in terms of sort of engineering, is there anybody in particular that has stood out to you within the engineering space as a particular hero, and why is that?
You know what? I had to think about that, and I didn't grow up with engineering role models in terms of the typical ones that you'd read about, Brunel and the likes. I didn't, but I think because I knew what I wanted to do, I wasn't necessarily looking for a role model.
Mm.
But what I have found, though, as my role models are the people that I have worked with over the years. So some of my colleagues, to name a few, I have two female colleagues in particular. One is, her name is Sheila. She's also a Nigerian, but another lady called Caroline. She's Chinese, and these two women particularly I found very inspirational, very useful to my growth in this industry that I work in anyway. And I would class both of them in particular as my role models because they were ahead of me. They were very knowledgeable. They were very confident, very capable, and obviously we work in a male-dominated industry. So I think having them there, seeing how they operated, seeing how well they operated, and how well how much they achieved, they were for me my role models. These two women that I work with. So yeah.
And how have you found working in a male-dominated industry?
Well, not too hard because I think it's the industry I'm in particular might be what has helped. That it's not it's it, from or also I think my personality. I have got a very big personality, so I think I do well in any situation. Not to big myself up, but I tend to be able to handle myself quite well. And I think that I found that as long as I personally have found that as long as I'm able to contribute constructively to a situation, to a challenge, to a problem, to an engineering problem, to a meeting, anything like that. As long as I'm able to do that, I have not found it to be an issue. There are always some people who don't necessarily listen to you at first, but I have always found that once I have especially as I've gone along in my career, not obviously in the early days when I was a graduate, but 15 years in now, I'm very capable of holding my own, and I don't sit there thinking, oh, these are a whole bunch of men and I have to prove myself. No, I think my work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for so long, and I've worked in so many diverse industries. Well, I've worked with consultants, I've worked as a client, I've worked, in the delivery sector. So I think I'm well-rounded at this point. That I find that being a female engineer is not an issue. It hasn't been for me so far.
Great. And you mentioned earlier about sort of graduating. How did you find that studying at UCL? Were there any other Black women studying the same engineering course as yourself?
Actually, you know what? My year was very diverse. I can't speak for other years, but in my particular year, so I started in I think 99, and and 2000, I can't remember. But anyway, when I started, I was very pleasantly surprised to find that it was very diverse here, ethnically, very diverse here in a gender perspective. So at least there were three of us Nigerian girls in that year that I can count off my head. A couple of Arab girls, white British girls. So it was really quite varied, and we held our own. We definitely did. We weren't in every department.
That's great to hear. So many women on your course as well.
Most definitely. And also, where I work right now, as you mentioned, I work with Southern Water. And for some reason, in the process engineering team, so I know I studied chemical engineering, but we refer to ourselves as process engineers.
Right.
In the process engineering team, it's been extremely diverse. So my team alone, there's me, there's a lady from Venezuela, there's a lady from Malaysia, there's a lady from from Wales, there's it's just so amazing to work with all these different influences. And not everyone studied here, so we have different inputs from all parts of the world in my team alone. So I don't know if it was a conscious decision of my company, but by design or by luck, I've ended up in a very female strong, very culturally diverse team. So I'm very, very fortunate.
Fantastic. No, that's wonderful as well to hear people from so many different backgrounds. I find with a lot of the companies that we work with, the more diverse, actually, the better they are at problem solving, because they're coming at it from different angles, and it helps to solve the problem more quickly. So that's great to hear. So I wonder as well, in terms of your graduation, how did you find your first role once you graduated?
I applied straight. So I finished university in 2003, the summer of 2003, and I was very fortunate. I started at Southern Water in the November of 2003. So that run up to that summer, finishing my degree, I was applying for every graduate program going, and I was very lucky. I had two graduate sort of entry programs, one with a company called Black and Beach and another with Southern Water. And I got offered the job at Southern Water. So, and when I went for the interview, I think there was maybe about 10 of us, and I was the only female and obviously the only Black female. And I remember making a conscious decision, and people always mention it today, but I remember thinking, everyone is going to be wearing a black suit. So I'm not going to wear a black suit. I'm going to wear a beige suit so that they remember me. And my friends who were on the program till today still say, yeah, remember that you're beige suit. I was like, well, there you go.
I love
17 years later. So I made a conscious decision to stand out visually as well as, with what I was going to present that day. And I don't know if it was the suit that got me the job, but I'm still there. So.
And during your education or your life, your career, have you encountered yourself sexism or racism at all?
Well, we'll take that one at a time. Racism. I'm going to say my definition of racism, and we've had a chat about this before, is that it's prejudice with power. So I think everyone is prejudiced. We're all prejudiced. It's what we do with that prejudice that counts. So if you use that prejudice against someone with my skin color to hinder their progress, then that is racism. Mm-hmm. Now, I have not found that in my career. I started with Southern Water in 2003, and even though I'm there now, I have left and come back several times for a variety of reasons, and to work in with consultants and other parts of the business. And so every time I've applied for a job, I've got it. So I haven't found anyone. I found that my CV has spoken for itself. Yes, and I've been helpful. Now that I've experienced, I've had racist comments, yes, but it has mainly been out of ignorance, and I have corrected someone before, and said, look, don't say that to me, and they've apologized. So, but as I said, I don't think racism per se has affected my chances because I am where I am. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't. I don't. And if it has, I didn't sense it. One of the examples I always give people is that, again, I work in a very male-dominated industry, mm-hmm. And I tend to be one of a few Black women in a situation. But when I'm in a meeting with 10 other people and I'm the only Black person in there, I don't see that. All I can see is 10 other people, and they're the one who can see that I'm there. But I'm not thinking that. So, so as I said, it may have occurred. I may not have noticed it, but I've progressed in my career so far without experiencing it, vividly. Mm-hmm. Now, sexism, on the other hand, yes, definitely. You have, when I started at Southern Water, I would go to some of the treatment sites. Mm-hmm. And you would see page 3 models stuck all over, and you're like, I'm trying to have a conversation here, and this is, no, okay. Now, you wouldn't see it anywhere, not allowed. I haven't seen it on any site for the last 5 years. Yeah. But that kind of stuff, or, people would they wouldn't say calm down, but, they'd use dear and things like that. And you just think, oh gosh, there's no need for that. or you go to a Christmas party and someone's a little bit handsy and things like that. And because I work in the construction arena as well. So I think I have found that I have been able to hold my own, and and to be honest with you, I have tried to speak up for others. So where I've seen people being treated badly, where I've seen, and I have seen it, where a male manager has targeted another female employee because, in my opinion, he felt threatened, I have stood up and said, I don't think that that's right. I think, and I will say that. Or another example, maternity pay. Currently I'm a contractor, but I have friends who've come to, who've fallen pregnant like myself, whilst they're working. And at that point, that's the point at which they've looked at the company's policy and seen that actually you're only getting 3 months statutory. And I said, well, that's unacceptable. For me, that is sexism. I don't care, because it's against women, because we're the ones who have to go on maternity. And because of this, I encouraged her to successfully challenge the company's policy. And then it transpired that the HR manager had been waiting for somebody to challenge this because she couldn't go and change it without anyone saying it. And as a result of our challenge, they changed it. They changed the policy. So, I was very pleased. That's one of my, I was very pleased about that, because I thought, if you don't ask, you don't get. And if you don't show them that what they're doing is harmful, because you want to retain your female staff, we're an essential part of the team. And that's the one thing that will probably come up in almost every female's career, that we need to take time off. We all want to work. We've all worked so hard to get to this point. We want to stay working, if not now, but in the next 5-6 years. Most of us do. So I was very proud of that. And I thought, it's that kind of sexism that people don't think about that is important, So yeah, so that would be an example.
Yeah, brilliant. It's great that you brought about such a monumental change for the company as well. I love that. And so what would you say, I mean, you've been an engineer now for 15 years. What have been your best experiences? What are you most proud of, Fola?
I think number one would be seeing something that I have designed be built and to be commissioned and still be used now. So that is something that I'm very fortunate in this industry. You can actually live through this cycle of a design process. So I have designed a particular process. I've researched this. I've said this is the proposed solution. It's been agreed. It's been checked. It's been approved. It's been built, and I've gone and I've seen it. It's been commissioned. It's working. It's working as intended. No one's come and said, Fola, that thing you built? Nah, not working. It's like, no, no, it worked. I'm like, yeah, that's my design right there. Yes, thank you very much. And so that's the thing. And that has happened on several occasions when I have solved problems and I have seen that the problem has been solved and it's still, it's still working today. So for me, as an engineer, that is it, really, isn't it? That's the point. You designed and you got something built. You can't get better than that. But also, I think, the people I work with, that's very, the support I've received and I give. That's one of the things that
Excellent. And I know that you obviously have a family yourself. You've got two children. So how do you find that balance of having a family and having a full-time job?
Well, it's not easy. It's not easy. But because my kids, as you know, they're 4 and 6. Mm-hmm. So I'm still very much in the early stages of that journey of getting the balance. Again, I'm very fortunate. The industry I work in, the water industry, is very good at that. I work with a lot of women and men who have children who understand that I can be in the middle of a meeting and my phone rings and it's nursery and I've got to go. Yeah. And they'll be the first to say, you know what, go. I'm very lucky. I work locally, so that's another choice I've made. I work about 15 minutes from my home
Perfect.
whenever we get back into the office, and that's been very helpful. The water industry, as a female engineer, one of these my role models that I mentioned, Sheila. I remember her telling me, "This is the best industry to raise your children in." Because they're very understanding, they're very flexible, and you still enjoy your work. You still get to have a sense of achievement, and you get to raise your children. And also the other way is childcare, wraparound childcare,
Yeah.
essential practice club, after school club, nursery,
See you
everything.
there.
And my partner is very helpful, very, very understanding, very flexible as well. He's also in the same industry. And so he's able to, it's almost like we've made a conscious decision that we'll stay in this industry whilst the kids are young, because it
Yeah.
allows us to have that balance. So
Great.
it's a challenge, but it's been doable so far.
Brilliant. It's a very positive experience, it sounds like, working there at Southern Water, which is great to hear. And I suppose sort of moving forward for young Black women who want to embark on a career in engineering, what advice do you have for them?
I would say do it. Do it, do it, do it. There is no reason not to do it. It's we're needed everywhere. Our experience is needed. Our presence is needed to inspire other people. Um, it's as a female, forget even Black female, but as a female, we are needed to bring a female perspective to any situation. Be it problem solving, be it meetings, be it just having a chat about work-life balance and getting people to understand we are needed, because otherwise, if you're not present, then people do not consider your input or your lifestyle. So we're definitely needed. I would say when you do get into engineering or any industry for the first time, I think very quickly identify your support network. I always tell this to every graduate that starts with us. Find someone who doesn't make you feel stupid to ask a stupid question.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you need is someone to make you feel stupid when you're asking it, because we all have stupid questions. They're not even stupid questions, but you think they're stupid. You think they're silly. You think they're not intelligent. It doesn't matter. What you need is someone to tell you, no, that's not a silly question. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
And when you have that person, be it on the phone or in the office with you or whatever, you feel more empowered. So what I do, because I still ask silly questions, is when someone asks me a question I don't know the answer to, I say, that's a very good question. I'll get back to you. And then I find that my person and I say, what's the answer? And then they tell me the answer, and I go back and I say, yeah, actually, I thought about it. I think that's the answer.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, very good. I said, thank you very much. So that for me is a support network with whom the people you can ask questions. And again, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, and find the answers.
Yeah.
Basically, I think, put yourself forward, ask the questions, do it. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. If you want to do it, try your hardest to do it. And once you're in, build your network and you'll be fine.
Brilliant. Some great advice there. And finally, what changes would you like to see within female engineering, within that female engineering world?
More representation. We definitely need more engineers at the table. It's still very much a white male dominated industry, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there is room for us at the top. There's always room for us at the top. And so we need to muscle our way in there, so that when we're there, we can address things like equal pay. We can address things like, maternity, and not necessarily maternity, parental pay provisions for both men and women who want to take time off. Because I think a woman is more likely to fight for that for her husband if she wants to stay at work and say, yeah, my husband needs to get paid so we can still pay the mortgage. Do you know what I mean? And we just need more women at the top to make the necessary changes. Get us equal pay, get us better parents pay, get engineering firms to have creches in the building. I don't know, something. Because once our children are taken care of, we are very happy to work till whenever, And and once we're there again, we need to represent. We need to express the female side of things. What can women bring to the table? How can we improve things? Because we have a certain way of approaching problems that may not necessarily have been is not the norm, but it's definitely helpful. Definitely improves the situation. I found that so many times, in my working life, and people are pleasantly surprised, and I just say, I don't know why you are. That's just how we work. We're just better in this way.
Yes.
So yes, definitely, I think we just need to be up there, and we need to express a very female-led way of engineering.
Perfect. Well, Fola, it's been such a pleasure to hear from you today. Thanks so much for your time. I wish you the rest of the week a good week for you, and enjoy the weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm not very good at this.
Not at all. We're all learning.
It's the new normal and all that. Thank you so much, Laura. I really enjoyed this, actually, talking. You've made me think. You made me really think about a lot of things, which I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, So I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it very much.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.